Sup guys, this is Faure / Lockie if you do know me in real life. What I'm going to do today is go through the a track that I've got coming out on Preston Recordings called The Fortune. So I'm just going to go through, break it down and really discuss how I got the mix to sound the way I did. And I'm going to teach or at least give out some hints to the newies about how to get your mixes sounding a lot better. A huge thing for me is low cutting. Once I got my head around where to low cut and why, I just had so much ease or a much easier time getting my mixes on point. So we'll go through the track briefly. So I'll just play from just before the break kicks off. So yeah, that's pretty much, that's the main idea of the track. So we're just going to step through quickly and I can show you guys what I did. So in this main section of the break, we've got about 10, We've got about 10 layers. And if you fuck about with 10 layers, it can get really messy. So here we go, this horn layer. Now this is basically Native Instruments Contact session horns. I love it, for this sort of shit, it's on the money. So you've got that real sexy live trumpet type feel. I've duplicated the layer and then sent it out to the speakers quite wide using Flux Audio's stereo tool. So we'll have a quick listen to that. So you can see that it's really spread out. And what you'll see on pretty much all these channels is low cutting. So, here I'm low cutting, this is on the main horn layer. I'm low cutting at 260 on this nice wide layer. I'm probably cutting a bit higher. Yep, 380, nearly 400. And throughout all these, I'm just low cutting. I'm probably knocking out the highs on a few of them. But yeah, the low end is really something to pay attention to because the sloppy low end is a lot easier to fuck up than a sloppy high end or mid range. And that's purely because low end, low frequencies have a lot more energy. And if you start fucking about, you're going to just lose headroom and your mix isn't going to be loud. It's not going to be punchy and it's not going to sound how you intend. So yeah, a lot of the time I'm just low cutting. So, if we step through, here we go. I've got a piano. It's being pushed slightly with the saturator and low cutting. Let's, what's this? So it's really quite a wide sounding synth. I've got a filter that pulls off, at the sort of last bit of this breakdown to let the Latino street drums come through or whatnot. It's also sent pretty wide. I'll pull that open. It's sent really quite wide. I've got some reverb, got some delay to give it some more width, and then low cutting. Blah blah blah. I'm just low cutting a lot. Now, if you hear that, there's just fucking nothing there. I'm cutting at 700 hertz because I don't need anything below that. And that right there is a huge thing for a lot of you, is being decisive with your mix. If you're gonna, if you, let's say you're writing, a big melodic piece or you're writing a drop or whatever, and you go, oh, this needs a little bit of something else. Be decisive about what it needs. Don't just make a layer blindly and, make a new synth blindly. Obviously, it's, you know, it's all good to experiment and whatnot. But if you're going to create a layer, try have a bit of a think about, I guess, why you're adding it. You know, does it need low end? Does it need mid range? Do you need to cut out the highs? Do you need to push the highs, etc.? You know, do you need it sent really quite wide to you know, give the soundscape some width? And yeah, that's really something a lot of you guys need to pay attention to and become. You know, this is where I guess you set the good producers from the bad and whatnot, is the indecisiveness. And, you know, a lot of kids will just go along for the ride and not make these decisions. And they'll go, oh, why is my mixdown shitty? And you're like, well, you've just added in 6 layers of bullshit. Maybe you could get rid of a couple, or, you know, EQ out a lot of the crap from them. And you go, oh my God, yeah, I totally could. So that's something to pay really a lot of attention to. And so I'll go through, you know, once again, low cut. Let's have a look. Once again, low cut, highs pulled out, etc. You know, there's just not a lot to this, you know, to what I'm going to be going through, other than pulling out shit you don't need. And that's such a huge fundamental for mixing down. You know, if you look at guys like Madion, Deadmau5, Eco, etc., they're not, you know, sprinkling on some magic dust that just makes their tracks fucking unreal. They're doing the basics, and they're doing them really, really well. So, you know, that's getting your volume set right. So, you know, your gain staging is all on point. You know, EQing where you need to, pulling out the shit you don't need, blah, 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 blah. Just do the basics well, and your life is going to be so much easier. You know, you know, engineers are going to compliment you, be like, holy fuck, finally a mix down that I can work with really well. And, you know, if you do need to, I guess, pseudo master or master your own stuff, you're not going to be sitting there for hours going, oh God, I need to like get rid of some mid-range, but I don't want to fuck up, you know, a saw wave that's coming through in the drop, or blah, 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 blah. Get your mix downs on point. Life's going to be sweet. And cut out the shit you don't need. So I guess, you know, I'll touch on the break baseline. So you can see I'm high shelving and I'm low cutting for that top bass. And then I've got a sub here where it doesn't have a huge amount of texture to it, but it doesn't need to. There's so much going on in the higher regions that it doesn't need to start fucking about up there. So I've got this auto filter, which does roll off, but then I've also got another EQ just for safe measure. This EQ really doesn't need to be here, but I just figured, why not be anal retentive and just go all out? You know, I've got a decent enough computer. There's no issue with me chucking down multiple EQs. And so, you know, if that's not there, this is what it sounds like. And then I'll turn it on. It just adds so much weight to that section, you know, without it, it's just bare. And it really makes it easy to follow along with that bass line because there's nothing else playing around with it. It's just, oh, I can hear da, 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 da. You know, obviously I am no vocalist by any means, but it's easy to keep a track of, and you're not going, oh fuck, what's happening with the bass? Why am I so conflicted down there? Because there's nothing. It's just boom. All you're hearing are these 4 notes, and it's easy to pick out. And together. And then the last section that I'll be touching on for the breakdown, don't worry, we're going to get into that drop, is really just the Latino drums. So they've got this real street parade feel. You know, when I hear them, I can sort of envision like I guess, I don't know, would it be Mardi Gras over in wherever? I don't know. Or no, Carnival or something. I don't know. Fuck it. Anyway, so you've got these got Mardi Gras. I'm gonna get nailed for that one. I just know it. So yeah, I've got these big live sounding Latino drums. And they've just got this, you know, this real snappiness to them. But they initially did have a bit of low end. Now I'll just find my EQs that are doing some work here. And that's just something I didn't want. I didn't need that low end to carry through because I don't, you know, I want them to be not, I guess, nice, light and snappy to cut through. But I don't want them fucking around with my bass line. Because that's such a huge thing for me, is that bass line being nice, crisp, and just easy. So, you know, in the mix, they just sound... So yeah, more or less, that's sort of breakdown done. So really, there's not a lot to it, you know, to the mix down of that breakdown. It's just low cutting and knocking out a bit of highs on some of those channels. But yeah, here we are at the important shit for a lot of you, I know. So let's start with the kick. Now, the kick isn't anything crazy. It's something I built a little while ago. So I used a few top layers and then did the low end in Bassism. From Intelligent Sound and Music. So let's have a quick listen. So it's nice, it's punchy, it's nothing crazy though. It's not a game-changing kick. And, you know, if your track is, you know, if you do find a kick that's absolutely game-changing and your mix down's not on point, you're not going to be able to show that kick off anyway. So, you know, this kick, it's a good kick nonetheless, you know, and I'm really happy with my kick. There's nothing I'd change about it. But the kick isn't what gives the track the power. The mix down is. So. So it's cutting through nicely. Let's have a listen to the claps. Now. You can see just there at that 187 on the claps, I've knocked out a bit. There's this real nasty resonance that was ringing off, and fuck, I did not want that. Sorry, I'm just going to step back to the kick quickly. Now, this kick, you've probably seen an absence of effects. Now, it rings off for, you know, a little bit. Nothing stupid, but you can see I haven't compressed it to shit. You know, it's got a nice tail. It sort of casually fades off, but you know, all I'm doing is just limiting it just to get some volume out of it, and that right there is fucking huge for a lot of you guys. I see all over these forums, kids going, oh yeah, you got to compress your kicks and blah, blah, blah. You know, you've got to apply a whole range of effects. And that's just total bullshit. You don't need to go nuts on effects for your kicks. If you've got a good kick, just let it cut through. There's nothing you need to be doing to get it to cut through to the kick. A great way of thinking is mixing around the kick. So giving your kick that room to really breathe. So yeah, really the stuff that's gonna give me any sort of an issue. So let's have a listen to this. And you can already hear there's not a lot, you know, there's a little bit of low end going on, but there's not a whole lot. So, you know, that's just a saw wave, you know, slight chorus and whatnot, nothing crazy. driven a little bit. Let's have a look. I've just low cut, you know, at 100. I didn't want to go too high because I did need it to have some body. But, you know, on the end of that, I've just got an EQ that's knocking out pretty much all that bass where the root note of that kick is going to live. So I'll just chuck on spectrum on that kick and show you guys that really the root note sits at about 59. So let's refresh. So 59 hertz is really where that weight in that kick is coming from. And all I'm doing on that is just, I'm dialing this EQ in on this saw pulse. And I'm just pulling all that out because I want that kick to just wallop through and go, oi, I'm fucking here, let's party. Same deal on the wide pulse, which basically is the same layer, but it's just sent out quite wide to the speakers. And the room size on that reverb is really small. So that just gives it such air around it. It's just nuts. You know, same deal. Let's have a look. Low cutting the shit out of it. Do I have that EQ on the end? Yeah, I've got that EQ on the end, but I've got the the Q, or I guess I would call it resonance or whatnot. I've got that really opened up, so it's just knocking out so much low end. So that kick isn't even conflicting with that at all. Now we've got this zap drop. And you can hear there's no low end there either. Now I do have a bass line down here, but you know, these are the things that need to be sorted out first. So, more or less, this is just a saw wave. Nothing nuts, you know, like it's probably the most basic patch ever. Fuck, it sounds cool though. So it's just a saw wave. The cutoff sort of quickly opens up. Now I've got a vocoder that is set to the modulator, so that resynthesizes the it sends through it, vocodes the synth based on the carrier. So that's what gives it this real sort of, I guess, grittiness. You know, it just really livens up the sound and gives it this clean grittiness, which I just fucking love. Then I've got an auto filter, or just a filter, so it's a low cut again. It's just cutting out, it's cutting out a lot. You know, it's at 720 hertz. Driving this bitch just as hard as I can. Slight phaser, just to move it around a bit. I am finding I'm just slightly bit crushing a lot of stuff, and it gives it this really tasty like hiss and grit on the top end. So without it, it just, oh fuck, I love that. You know, it's nothing mind blowing. But it just gives that texture on that top end to really go, oh yeah, this is something real dope. I've got, you know, standard reverb, blah, blah, blah. Probably sending it pretty wide too. Low cutting. Then I've got it side chaining. Then I'm slightly compressing that so it doesn't duck off too much. I know I can just do that with that compressor, but for me, it's just easier. And then low cutting again. So I'm low cutting once again at this 59 hertz, and I'm just removing any bass that would conflict with that root note. Now this is a pretty cool patch. So it's got this real like short stop on it, but you know, together. It really adds some definition to those notes. And I won't go into the massive patch too much. Like, have a quick look at that. Anything else happening? Any guys that want to make this sort of sound? Oscillator phase start. Fucking really pay attention to that one. That's a big hint. So I'm driving it. Got some reverb, I'm going to be cutting at the low end, you know, fucking let's really understand what I'm doing here. I'm just low cutting. Side chaining, slightly compressing again, low cutting. Let's have a look. Once again, low cutting. Driving it pretty hard, sending it out wide to the speakers. Side chaining off that kick, so it really, you know, it's ducking out quite hard. Because I just want that kick to just go boom, 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 boom. Which is so huge. You know, I just, for this track, I needed that kick to just fucking wallop. So that's those done. And then so I've got those sampled horns. So they're the same as the breakdown. Low cutting. So guys, you may pretty much understand that I'm just clearing up any bass that's going to give me any issues with the kick. Just to fuck it off out of there. I don't want my kick having to deal with a lot. You know, it's such in electro, big room, you know, house music, really any electronic music or really any dance music. The kick is such a huge part of a track, and if your kick's not cutting through, your track is just going to fall over. But I do need to step into this sub. So the reason why I've got rid of all the bass here is so I can add just a simple sub layer, and then my job is condensed to just one layer versus the kick, which makes life so easy. So I do this on pretty much every genre of track I do. You know, I did it on my track Thrillin' that's up. I've done it on everything, and I find it a really easy workflow, especially if you're going to do complextro, where you just cut out everything and then just deal with it in a sub layer, which makes life so much easier than trying to get everything sitting right individually. Because if you're doing a complextro track, you might have 8 different synth parts, but they all need to have body, they all need to really work together, and they all need to let that kick cut through. And if you're dealing with them all separately, it makes life a lot trickier. Whereas if you just chuck in a sub layer, that's, you know, not adding anything on the higher end, it just makes life so easy. So we'll check out this sub layer. So it's nothing crazy, you know, I'm pretty sure it's just, yeah, 2 saw waves. You know, it's just a piece of piss. I'm cutting off pretty well. I'm giving it a bit of texture with that high end, so the cutoff is opening up real quickly. All right, now here's what you're seeing. So I'm ducking out that 59 Hertz, but I'm not doing it nearly as radically as I am on the other channels. I want it to give it a kick, a fair bit of room, but I also do want some of that body coming through. So let's have a listen to this and the kick together. So you can always hear that texture of that bass line, but the kick's still going, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It's always there. And that's so huge. So yeah, you know, I'm really cutting off the high end. So let's, you know, turn this off. You can hear it just cleans up so much as soon as that EQ is turned back on. So yeah, guys, there wasn't a lot to this, I know, but it's just, I guess I really just wanted to walk through the basics and just, you know, show you guys it's so simple to get your mix downs on point. Just get your basics done. EQ well, set your gain well. So you can see, this is a quick tip for a lot of you guys. If you're in Ableton and whatnot, I don't know too much about the other doors, but really try not to automate your faders. Instead, drag a utility down and automate the gain on a utility. So that way you can just pull all your faders back into one quick go. And you can give yourself a lot of headroom, and then you can sort of master or pseudo master at a later stage. Well, I guess a few of you will be like, oh, what's on his master? And it's nothing special. Hey, all I've got is an EQ, so I'm giving it a bit of mids, bit of highs, knocking out a lot of stereo bass. And then this is something I find just, I can't live without this FGX. So it's basically a bus limiter and compressor. It's really transparent. So basically it doesn't add really any character. It just sort of, raises the volume. You can add character and you can do some really cool shit with it. But I love it because it'll let you push your track without introducing anything unwanted. So guys, I hope this, if this helps one of you, I'll be fucking stoked. And if it does help you and you make it this far into the video, please show some support. I'll link my SoundCloud in the description. Head over there, hit that follow button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that good shit. Because I plan on doing a fair few of these. And yeah, guys, have a great one. This has been Faure. Ciao.